Good morning.
Good morning.
It is so good to see you all, so good to be here. There is this Advent booklet, probably many of you have this. Did you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. And so I've used it greatly in today's talk, and in addition to that, but along with the thoughts in this, there was an affirmation that came out in the e-blast this week that Bernetta put out there. That affirmation was, I extend my love to all of creation. I am the love of God in expression. Beautiful, and I love that. I am the love of God in expression. I had an experience that helped me see an opportunity to be love in expression, and I'd like to share that with you, my own experience, with my dogs. You know about my dogs. Katie, I used to have 3, I have 2 now. Katie had cancer and had to have her put down. I was trying to think when that was, but with COVID, it seems, COVID seems like it's been going on for 4 years, so yes. I really have lost a sense of when it was. But Katie hasn't been with us for probably at least a year. I have 2. I have Kirby, who is a Sheltie, and Mindy, who's a little Yorkie mix. I decided a couple months ago to get them new beds. So I ordered them, and they are those fluffy, really soft faux fur. You get it out of the bag and you shake it and put it out. I got 2 sizes, somehow thinking the dogs would recognize that the larger one went for Kirby. And that didn't happen, but anyway, so I got these two beds. Mindy is kind of so she goes and lays on it occasionally, but Kirby loves the beds. So if they like to be where I am, so if I'm anywhere in the living room, kitchen area, then you can usually guess that Kirby's going to be on one of those 2 beds. Often he's upside down, so he's on his back and his legs are sticking up, but he just totally relaxes on these beds. All that is wonderful and well and good, except for our evening ritual is that I say, it's time to kennel. And before the beds, they would get up and go into their crates and easily, Well, the beds seem to have changed that. Not for Mindy, she still hops down and, goes ready. She waits to see if I'm coming, but, she goes. Kirby, not so much. So I tried numerous things to get him off of the bed and into the crate. And he likes his crate. I mean, he'll spend time in there on his own without, it's not like it's a punishment or he hates it or anything. It's just he really likes this bed. So I've tried coaxing. I've tried leaving him for a while. I'll go on in the bedroom and thinking he'll come if he, so that didn't work. So then I have this little temporary leash that's just, it's just a, it's a little leash kind of thing. And he doesn't like it very much, so I tried just appearing with him for a little bit, a couple of days. That was enough to get him to get up and then get off the bed. Then that didn't work, and so then I would slip the leash over his head, and that was enough to get him up. Before the leash, I forgot to tell you, before the leash, I found that if I went over and I kind of lifted his front part of his body, put his front legs on the floor, then he would go ahead and get up. And then I thought, this is really pretty physical. So then we did the leash thing. And then if you've ever had kids, and he got to the point where after, I'd tug and he'd get up, but then later it would be, I'd pull a little bit and he'd, all right, I'll get up. Well, then one evening he just went limp. You ever had a kid do that? Yeah. So he's just limp and I burst out laughing. This is so familiar. So I got rid of the leash. I just put his feet on the floor, got him up the whole way, and he went on in. And that night, as I was laying there in bed, chuckling, but thinking, how am I going to get this dog off his bed? And he likes it. It occurred to me that he loves treats. So perhaps this is a way that they're called training treats for a reason. But sometimes it takes a while for me to connect the dots, So anyway, so I discovered that. And also, if you've ever had pets, you know that even the sound of that particular package will bring them in from the other room almost, So I got the package and I shook it, and he sat up and his ears were perked up. I said, let's go kennel. And they were off like a flash. So I've discovered the secret to getting Kirby to at least his bed and come and do the nighttime ritual. What I took away from that experience was that when I stopped thinking about what I wanted, which was for us to go to bed and all be in our proper places, and what he wanted, which was to be comfortable, but more than that, he wanted to have a treat. So it was a shift for me. It was kind of a, what might he like with that? And then the second takeaway I got was, might there be other ways to learn to be loving, to be love and expression? I kind of think that shift for me, looking to think what he wanted is being love and expression. And so what other ways are there? And if I can find a way, just in my dog's routine, how many other opportunities might there be for us to learn to be love and expression? Well, this is Advent season. This is a time of preparation for Christmas. We're preparing for the celebration, certainly, of the Christ child. Those videos, Louis, were beautiful. And all that represents, our teacher, way shower, all of that. We are preparing in the outer, for our external Christmas, whatever that looks like. And then this year it's really different. I'm assuming, Thanksgiving for many of us was very different. And I'm thinking Christmas might be too. So now we're rethinking how we're going to do our regular get-togethers, our gifts, our food, any of that. So we've got all the external Christmas, the celebration. Advent is an opportunity on the inner, though, to do a preparation from a spiritual perspective. And that is, on the inner, we are looking to reawaken ourselves to that Christ consciousness that we have. And so each week is a step in the direction of making that happen. The peace, first the faith and hope, and then the peace. And now today is love. And what I see about that is, in my opinion anyway, this isn't just a Christmas thing, but it's an opportunity for us to reflect on this, and then recognize once again that Christ consciousness that we aspire to, and renew our awareness and our intention to be that as best we can. In the booklet, the writings I found this year, I found the writings to be very powerful this year. The writing for today is done by Reverend Kurt Condra, who's a friend of mine too. And as I read it, I found myself very inspired. And so there's a quote I want to share with you from what he wrote about Advent season for today around love. He said, "There is an incredible sense of power and freedom in both giving and receiving love without condition or expectation. The experience can be so profound that we lose track of whether we're the giver or the receiver." And I see some nods. Probably many of us have been on both ends of that power and freedom in giving and receiving love without condition or expectation. thought it was interesting that you said giving and receiving. So I'm going to look first at giving. Giving love without condition or expectation. That's unconditional love. And most of us, we've talked about that before. I know we have. I learned unconditional love from my grandmother. Many of us, you had that experience of unconditional love from someone. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So, it is wonderful. Unconditional love, I mean, you just feel like you can bask in it. And it is selfless. So what does that mean? What is selfless? What is selfless in giving, except that it means that we take into consideration others' well-being, desires, and needs. The things that my grandmother did were from a very selfless place. I was the girl she always wanted, and never had. And selfless is that giving from that place, I think all too often what we do is we give what we like, and what we want someone to have. And I can get just all excited about something I think somebody should have. It's like, this would be the best thing for them. Maybe. Maybe not. So, I learned what that looks like many, many years ago when I was a child. For some reason, my parents took us, all of this is really fuzzy. I mean, this is before I was 10 years old because it was when we still lived in DuQuoin. But for some reason, my parents took my sister and I shopping, and shopping sounds way too la-di-da. I mean, I'm from a small town, so there were just a few stores. Anyway, we went to the store, and the idea was that we were to give, my sister and I were to give a gift for, buy a gift for the other one. We ended up each getting a purse for the other one. We were little girls. I got this wonderful, beautiful purse. It's about that big, and it was red, which is my favorite color. And it has a little clasp and opens up, and it's got little compartments inside it. So I want this for my sister. This is such an awesome gift. And she wanted a gift for, and it too was a purse. I don't remember how much time elapsed from the time we exchanged the purses to a realization that we really liked the one that we had given better than the one that we received, so we traded back. And I still have my red purse. It's a supreme example of buying what I liked and what I wanted and would have wanted. And certainly there's merit to wanting someone to have something that we would love. It's not all bad, but that's the epitome of buying something that we think is the best thing. But what if, when we're thinking of love, what if we would take some time to consider, like I did with Kirby, what would Kirby like better than that bed? What would our loved ones like? What would they want? How would they like to spend any time with, take it from that perspective, and I think that begins to allow us to love in that way, selflessly, unconditionally. And I think being selfless is to first and most importantly consider what the other wants, and then do that. So that's in giving. He mentions, before we leave giving, there is another quote from this. It says, "The instant we love selflessly, we receive a sense of peace, harmony, and fullness." And on a really tiny scale, that's what I felt when Kirby perked up and just jumped off of the bed. It was giving him something he wanted. Not maybe complete peace, harmony, and fullness, but a flavor of that. That's what we get when we give selflessly. Now, receiving. It says, There's an incredible sense of power and freedom in both giving and receiving love without condition or expectation. Receiving love without expectation or condition. I think it's much easier to give than to receive. Anybody else? So this really kind of, receiving without conditions or expectations. There are, I think, two ways to receive, and that is from others and from ourselves. So as we look at from others, I think a way to approach that is our challenge is to remove judgment. When we say to someone who has given us a gift, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, that's too much. That's too expensive." Or even if you're thinking, "Is that it?" Whatever the range of thinking, evaluating, judging what has just come to me, it's from here. It's from here, not from there. So if I'm going to receive without condition, without expectation, it means then I turn my awareness to what was the other person thinking? What did they want? What did they do? What were they trying to achieve? They were coming from a place of wanting to give us something. So when we receive from others selflessly, we first think of their generosity, of their intention to make us happy, and we find within ourselves an attitude of gratitude. And it becomes pretty clear that it isn't the gift itself that is the most important, but it is what comes behind it. It is that bond of love that comes from the gift, with the gift, from the other person. That's the importance. And then receiving from ourselves. It is said that we are often our own worst critics. And I think that's true. And if we could learn to be our own best friends, and I think this season can help us with this too, this season of recognition, reflection, recognition, and renewal, as we think about being this way, being an expression of love, we want to include ourselves in that too. We want to remember the truth. This is what this is all about. The truth is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that we are the Christ in expression. The potential is there. And if we treat ourselves from that perspective, from that awareness, then we can remove all, or at least a whole lot of the negativity, the self-criticism, the not enoughness, because we remember who we are, what we are in truth. So I think that we should learn to let ourselves receive from ourselves unconditionally and without expectation. So here we are. It's getting close to Christmas. We're going to talk in a minute about the attributes again and getting to this place of love. But love is that place. And if we can turn our attention, our awareness toward being an expression of love, of God's love in particular, it can change our lives, it can change the season, it can change our relationships. It's truly amazing, the power of love. So as we get ready for Christmas, as we prepare in whatever way we're going to have our Christmas celebrations this year, we want to focus on that renewal of ourselves, the renewal of the awareness of the truth, who and what we are. Let us then look for ways to be love in expression. And finally, to close this out, there is a quote that Kurt cited. It's by a woman named Sarah Bareilles, who says, "Love is who we are, and no season can contain it." Amen to that. Before we do our meditation, I would like to pause and let us turn our attention to the Advent candles, because it's a way that we can focus the awareness, the intention of Advent. The Christ candle, the source of all. And the first aspect to the Christ consciousness is faith and hope. I like this candle because it is required to have faith and hope that something can be different and something better. Second candle I like is the candle of peace. And for us to be able to manifest anything, to be an expression of the Christ consciousness, we must be peaceful. We must let go of all of the outer distractions and be centered, be clear, be aware, peace. And this week, I light the candle of love. It is said that God is love, and we as expressions of God are love in expression, and no season has full dominion over that, but this is a time when we recall, reflect, recognize, and renew. So let's take some time now to enter into that sacred oneness. I invite you, if you are so moved, to gently close your outer eyes or to softly make our Advent candles the focus, a soft focus. Light is a part of our church center name. Light is the truth of who and what we are. And so as we turn within right now, we turn to that sacred spot, deep, deep within us, as Eric Butterworth says, to that place of union, that place of harmony, that place of hope and faith and peace and love and joy. And we breathe. And as we breathe deeply and slowly, we can feel our bodies even further settling into the quiet, the stillness. Jesus, our way shower, has taught us that we are to go into our secret places, to commune with the Most High, and then His silence. The silence is a within thing. We can be in silence even in the midst of noise and activity. It is a choice we make to turn within, to go to that stillness, and to rest and abide there. We rest and abide in the Christ consciousness. Oh, and as we do that, we are renewed. We allow ourselves to be soothed, to be comforted, to be strengthened, to be guided, to be loved according to each of our individual needs at this moment. Source, also called God, the universe, creator, spirit, source, is an integral part of us. And when we take the time, like right now, to go within, to connect again, to be in that, we build up a reservoir of all of those attributes that we so admire in our way shower. We build up peace. We become the beacon that people come to when they are upset. We become the love that people are attracted to because it is unconditional. We become joy because we find joy in life, in love, and we attract people because they see that vibrant, giving, loving life. So we take some time now, as we do each week, to be with this stillness, to be with this sacred silence, to be all that we are in expression, in the silence. And in this united oneness, in this united Christ consciousness, we are so aware of the love that is in this room, of the love that we have for each other, the love that our Maker has for each of us, doubled and tripled from anything that we've experienced in life. We are aware of such powerful love. So we open, even further, open our minds and our hearts to this notion of being love in expression. This is our natural state. We release and let go of anything that prevents us from doing that and being that, and joyously, graciously, gratefully walk into being love in expression. We are so grateful for this awareness, grateful for this time of year that calls it all back up for us, grateful for loved ones, grateful for experience, grateful for love. And in that gratitude, we say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.